trip, you get this perspective of what the rest of the world is like, and then you can't live the same way that you have lived. Now all of a sudden, you have this new responsibility, and so for the rest of your life, you're committed to helping change the world.
I was 5 years old when my mom and dad went to India as missionaries. And so to a certain extent, I was born into a missionary family, a family with a vision for the lost and a vision for reaching people for Jesus.
I think in our hearts for a long time, we had a desire to go and work in a place where perhaps our lives would have a greater impact.
Well, that's right.
In the sense of in helping people with needs, you know, whether it was poverty or illiteracy or whatever the need is.
We wanted our lives to make a difference, right? We didn't want just the regular status quo life. We wanted our lives to count.
When I read the words of Jesus, he talks about that even the Son of Man came to give his life as a ransom for many. So like that, even Jesus, God's Son, came and gave his life. We're called as Christians to serve and to give. And you know, and he says in that same moment there, he talks about that if we want to be the first or we want to be the greatest, that we have to be willing to be the last or the least.
So about 20 years ago, I was invited to go on a missions trip. And I thought, I really want to do this. It was a trip to the Dominican Republic. We were going to go to a very poor area and hand out clothing and minister to the children there. And I thought, oh, I really want to go. But we had 5 small children at the time. But my husband, Mitch, wanted me to go. Right, Mitch?
Mm-hmm. So we made a way for her to go. And she came back all fired up, saying how we had to go to the mission field.
As a teenager, I felt the Lord had called me into ministry. I was growing up, as I said, in India. I went to boarding school there, and when I graduated from high school there, I returned to the United States and attended Southeastern University in Lakeland, and attended never thinking that I would go into missions. I knew God had called me into ministry, but never thought that I would go to other countries other than perhaps in short-term evangelism. When I graduated from Southeastern, I began doing evangelistic work in the USA. And about 8 years into it, God began speaking to me about returning to India where I'd grown up.
So I was initially drawn to the missions field because I, on a whim, signed up for a missions trip. Went to New Zealand in 2005, and then after that, while I was there, actually, I felt like a huge call to missions. I felt like I needed to be involved because I had a message of hope I need to share with other people. Spiritually,
The message that we brought with us about Christ is also an uplifting message, a message that brings hope.
Having the chance to be able to go and serve. There's an orphanage in Thinota Sassa. And when I was a teacher, my students and I had the chance to go build a butterfly garden over there, and having the chance to see the children that are in need, and being able to see a lot of times the gap between where the children have been and where the children are currently and are moving on. Not that there aren't any more challenges, but that gap is being filled when people often choose to serve.
And I couldn't understand why God was calling me back to India for the simple reason that I thought that God had put some dreams into my heart for ministry that I thought that if I returned to India I would never see fulfilled. But after 2 years of struggle, God spoke to me from Isaiah 55, "For my ways are not as your ways, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts, and my plans higher than your plans." And with tears I said yes to the Lord. I told him, "Lord, I'll go wherever you want me to go." And we began making preparation and left to go serve the Lord in India, following the call of God there.
So at Southeastern, a phrase I use a lot is, we don't want to change people for the next 4 years, we want to change them for the next 40 years. And by that, we're just saying, we want you to go on our trip, get an understanding for missions, and then we want you to take whatever your skill is, and then go on a missions trip, use it while you're there, understand how it fits into missions, and then for the next 40 years, you can further missions with that skill.